Good afternoon, Hattiesburg. Thanks for joining us for this COVID-19 briefing for Friday, September 25th. We will start with today's numbers. These are system-wide testing numbers for Forest General, Merit Health Wesley Hattiesburg Clinic, Simrai, and the Moffitt Health Center USM. As of this morning, we are up to 61,134 tests. 6,663 have come back positive. 53,964 have come back negative. We have 507 tests pending heading into the weekend. Between Merit Health Wesley and Forest General today, we have 50 patients who are COVID positive. That's just under 4 over our last 14 days, with another 6 under investigation. Of those 50, 16 are in the ICU. These are the most acute patients. That is also just slightly under where we've been the last 2 weeks. As you can see, we've seen a steady decline on hospitalizations, of course, as infection numbers have come down. Hospitalizations and ICU admissions typically trail behind that. If you see infection numbers go back up, you'll likely see this trail behind that going back the other direction. So we hope that current trend continues. One new death was reported yesterday in Forest County. We send our condolences to that family. It brings this year's death total to 72 in Forest County and 34 in Lamar County. Statewide today, we had 722 new cases of COVID reported with 20 deaths. In Forest County, we had 23 new positive cases. In Lamar County, we had 25. Metro area total for today, 48. Since this began in March, 2,478 total cases in Forest County, 1,700 in Lamar, 4,178 for the metro area. Our 5-day average is, there's a big spike here at the end because we were able to push our 5-day average down both below 10 for Forest County and Lamar County. Then we had the spike on Saturday that we think was a data reconciliation, but in the last 3 days we've seen double-digit increases in both counties, and so that 5-day average has started to creep up again. The inside 14-day number, this is the number of people who have received their positive test within the last 2 weeks. Because this disease has a life cycle typically of 14 days or fewer, this is an estimate on how many active cases we could have in our community. In Forest County, that number is at 209. In Lamar County, that number is at 167. The inside 14-day number, again, we're about where we were pre-Labor Day with this week of increases, but we are hopeful that that number will turn back around and head the other direction. Our goals continue to be protecting the vulnerable, people over the age of 60, people with underlying or chronic health conditions. Secondly, we want to prevent overrun of the healthcare system by slowing the spread, so if and when you need healthcare for COVID or some other illness, it will be there for you. And finally, we want to continue prioritizing public health while keeping the private sector open and operating. So a couple of things. Inside 14-day, as you can see here, we've seen some relative spikes. Not huge spikes, but 3 days in a row of double-digit increases, each county over 15. And so in Forest County, last Friday, we were at 98 inside 14 days. Again, that's 98 potential active cases in our community. That number now is at 209. That's an increase of over 100. Lamar County, 72 to 167, an increase of almost 100. So metro area wide, we've seen 200 cases more than where we were inside 14 days just a week ago. So what does this mean? It means COVID-19 is not going anywhere. Much to the chagrin of people who speculate this is not going to be over the day after the election. If you talk to public health experts, if you talk to our own medical community, this is going to exist until we have a therapeutic or a vaccine. And so we have to continue to be on our guard, because what we've seen locally with our local data is in 3 days, Forest County has seen 69 new cases. Now, many of these are at USM that we think. We know there's about 50 to 55 cases of active cases among the USM community as of Wednesday. Lamar County, however, also saw 61 new cases, and those are not attributed to a college campus. And so it means that across the board, we need to be more vigilant. We must not let our guard down, individually or collectively, and that starts with each of you and myself this weekend. When you go out, are you doing the 3 things that we ask you to do? Wearing a mask, staying socially distanced, avoiding large crowds. Because as we start to evaluate executive orders and evaluate events that have been planned that are regular staples in Hattiesburg in October, we have to look at where our local data is, and we don't need to see another spike like we saw in July where it kind of got away from us for a while. And so I hope that you'll remember that going into the weekend, and tell your friends to do the same. All right, 5 days left in the census. Our response rate is 56.5%. During this slash push, we really encourage you to be active on social media and with your friend groups and texting people to make sure they have filled out their census form. HattiesburgCounts.com. Click the first link. It takes all of 5 minutes. There's no reason not to fill out your census form. Some city news. Paving crews continue. They're back in Ward 4 this week on Corinth Street and Thompson Street in the Oaks. Both of these streets have long needed to be paved, and so we're glad to see that progress happening there. And finally, act of courage. We know that October is typically a time where everyone schedules their event because the weather is so nice. However, we also know this year that many of our nonprofits and advocacy organizations have had to pivot because of COVID-19. And so we want to salute NAMI, the National Alliance for Mental Illness, for all the work they do at the state level and at the local level and the national level. They are ones that advocate those for mental illness, and they also advocate for access to people for proper mental health care. And so I know that for the last several years I've attended their walk. It starts at Camp Park Pavilion and it goes out, but they're not able to do that this year. But October 10th this year, they're going to do a virtual walk, which is where many people go and walk on their own and post pictures and things like that. But if you want to be part of that, namiwalks.org/pinebelt. That's namiwalks-org/pinebelt, and we will continue promoting these types of events where organizations have not been able to do their in-person event this year. As we go into the weekend, remember to wash your hands, take care of yourself mentally and physically. Wear a mask if you go out in public. Do only what is essential. Remember, you're always safer at home. Have a great weekend.